Hi, my name is Betty. I'm the founder of BuonX Consultancy. Today, we will be talking about prepare your brand for an international market. So, before we get started, I would like to have a brief introduction of why branding is important and what is branding exactly. If we go to this picture, I would like to well, you can ask yourself which brand stand out to you. So, for example, for me, I like cookies. So, I see Oreo, I see McDonald's, I see BMW, Visa, Canon, or even Hello Kitty. So, why is that? When we come to our day to day life, when you want to buy a car or you want to have a dinner, even a quick lunch, what would you buy and what would come to your mind? Like basically like first, and why is that? It's basically because they have done their branding right. So, what is branding exactly? A lot of entrepreneurs might know how to make sales, but they are not be aware of what is brand exactly in the very first. So, basically, sales is you need to go to your client and tell them, well, we have this and that service, and you might need our help. Whereas for marketing, it's it's marketing is a bit like advertising. So you go to your client and you tell them, well, we have a great service and we stand out from the crowd because of XYZ. However, branding is the way to let your clients to come to you and telling you, well, I know you have this great service, I know you have this great product. Can I approach you or can I buy it from you? So this is the magic of branding. But how can we do that? And how can we basically from proactive to make the client to come to us? So this is our agenda today. We'll briefly talk about who is BuonX Consultancy exactly, and then we'll go straight to what's branding A to there, and building out your brand. We of course we would like to talk about how to build your brand with a global market in mind, especially post pandemic. So no market is local market anymore. Everything is about global. And in the very last part, I would like to bring in some public relations concept because a lot of entrepreneurs know how to sustain their business in terms of their finance, but they might miss the point of public relations. And when crisis hits, it just hurt the brand severely. And even sometimes it just broke the trust completely. So yeah, in this part, I would definitely want to talk a little bit on that, and especially when you want to plan your international plan. So about us. We are BuonX Consultancy is a one-stop shop branding solution for all. We help both clients from the States or Europe come to Asia, as well as the other way around. And for our service, we do this grand roadmap in the beginning, just so you understand where you stand in this journey, in this branding journey, and you'll be able to cherry pick what you want and what you need at that stage. So it actually goes hand in hand with your business plan. And that's a little bit about myself. I have been in the industry for over 15 years. I have this luxury of going from agency to in-house, and with this industrial combination of branding experience, public relations and marketing, or even operations in the business. So that's why we started this consultancy, that we want to help brand not only just specified in one area, but they can know the whole idea of branding before they actually dip their toe in the water. So what's branding exactly? I From here I borrow our service solution roadmap for you to have a quick glance of what's involved in branding. So first of all, of course, we have online, especially after the pandemic. We all know, like last year, online is the only way that we can approach our clients. And so in on online sphere, we have all media, word of mouth, that's including KOL, community building, and advertising. So from there, you have enough influence or online talk about, and you can think about how to build the physical relationship with your or physical contact with your clients, and that's when we go down to offline. Offline, we have OTO strategy, public relations, and physical events. And of course, post pandemic, we have this hybrid events that we can think about. So when you do your branding, think about whether you want to stay online, or it's vital for you to go offline. And once you have the enough of awareness, there might be some partners that might approach you, or you can approach other partners to get more resources. So in business or in branding, we don't want to focus on our own resources, because everyone's resources are limited. So by doing crossover collaboration, we'll be able to borrow others pros and to cover our cons. And that's what we like our clients to think in the beginning of their business, because in that way we'll talk about this later, but you just need to plan your branding strategy in order for you to further collaborate with others. And this is something that we would like to share, because in our core spirits of our business, we of course focusing on all the solutions, crossovers, integrated marketing. But one thing that I would like to stress is that social responsibility and sustainability is very core to our brand, and to all the brands as well, because that's where we can cut into social responsibility and ESG, like a lot of people would say in the post pandemic era, and that's when we can make the society a better place. And I think that's what branding can do the most. And how do you brand your brand globally? So I think a lot of things about building your brand globally is that you need to understand the region or understand the market that you are going to thoroughly, and not just hear from media or from someone you know. It's very important for you to actually look into the data. For example, when I was in the technology sector, I heard a lot of companies. They would say, oh well, if you want to go to Southeast Asia, you want to do desktop phone, because Southeast Asian are focusing on desktop devices a lot. What is if we go into details, we or the data, we'll be able to see actually mobile devices are the go-to for the clients or users in Asia in general. And it actually stands out significantly. So for example, if they are looking for solutions, if they are browsing for information, they will first pick up their phones or their pad instead of go to their desktop. and they spend a lot of time on mobile devices as well. So if you only hear about what people said about the market, then they might be wrong. You just have to observe from your own eyes. And another fun fact that I can share is that the attention span in APAC is only 29 seconds. And that's the shortest among the in the whole world. It's basically we range from we when we see the data, we see a range from 60 seconds to like 29 seconds, and 29 seconds is the shortest. However, though, clients or users in APAC, once you grab their attention, they can stay on one page for more than 1 minute, and that's very rare, and that might be one of the longest. So they can stay in one page for very long, and yeah. So grabbing attention and making them come back to your business or to your brand is what you need to do. And I would quickly run through a branding process, although we might not be able to cover it all in this short session. But we will definitely cover these two. One is about market analysis, and the other is we'll talk briefly on branding and marketing strategies. And of course, like I said, I will bring you a little bit of the concepts of public relations management. And this graph, it's basically a brief journey of your branding strategy. First of all, you would definitely want to tell them who you are and what's your brand strategy. So, in brand identity, what we mean is introducing your brands to the customers and tell them who you are, tell them what's your core value and what's your value proposition. It's basically like what you do when you approach investors, only in different perspectives. And then second stage, you'll go to brand meaning. It means that you have to reinforce your brand identity, show the value that you have promised in the identity. And of course, you want them to respond to you. So in brand response, I mean, you need to live it up to the brand promise or the brand image you had in the previous session or the previous steps. So it is to offer a way for the client to resonate with you, and that brings us to the last stage, which is make them to feel like they can echo with your brand identity or brand image. So they find you in themselves, basically. Otherwise, the brand would be always the brand, and it would be hard to connect with your clients. So it might be quite overwhelmed at some point because you have so much in your hand, and for startups, entrepreneurs often wear multiple hats, and branding might sound like too much for most of the entrepreneurs. So here we try to make a three simple steps of every concept, so it's easier to grasp and it would be easier for you to execute as well. So when we talk about branding, a lot of people would think, oh, I have to do market analysis or data analysis. I have to do market research, market survey, and it will cost a lot. In fact, before you go into all those actions, you can start with simple steps. So first, my first tip for you is just chat with your clients, chat with your target audience, your ideal persona, and let them tell you what is the perception they have for your business or for your competitor, for your market, or even for your product. And it would help you to get an idea of the new market, and it will also help you to understand what they really want and what they expect, and can you offer them that. And another thing is, because we're always very busy. For example, like for myself, when I was in house, I was in charge of three departments, and it's just hard for me to keep track on everything I have done, because sometimes things are things happen so quickly, especially in our industry. For branding and marketing, you have to keep up with your market, and market changes very quick. So it's just hard to write down everything that you have done and keep memorizing everything that you have done it right. So I came to this, I built this habit of just writing down everything that I do or I plan to do. Of course, it's a to-do list, of course, but in the end of each day or each month or even each quarter, I will be able to go back to see what we have done and what we have achieved. And that would help me to review the qualities of my brand, of our brand, and our business. It's it would come in handy when you need some when you have to go to your clients to come to communicate what you have done it right and what can you do good, and or even for your social media content. So when you do marketing, when you do publicly relations, it's vital for you to find out all those qualities that you have but you might have missed, because we can be used to what we do day to day, but not aware that might be significant or that might be worthwhile mentioning. So it would help a lot. And another thing that I would suggest my clients is that when you build your brand, you see a lot of good qualities about your brand. And of course, if you want to get into the business, you know what brand what value that your brand can offer, and you want to throw all of them to in front of your clients because you want them to have a good impression. However, the truth is, when you do branding, your clients won't remember every details of your brand, especially when you are a new brand to them. So what you need to do is to make sure they remember three key points of your brand, and that's enough. Because when you keep it simple, when you keep it short, it will be easier to stay in their mind. And when they have this kind of when they need the service, they will think of you directly. And sometimes the competition is just where who would client think first when they need it. And so I will always remind our clients to think of three adjectives of your brand and then go from there. And a lot of brands will be like, well, if I don't have my clients, why should I do my brand? And I would, as a star myself, I would definitely agree with that. So find your client is the most important thing. But how do you find your clients? That would come back to the branding strategy as well. First of all, you need to provide your bait. What's the bait? The bait is your product, and what do you offer for the client, and what's a value to them, and why do they want to use you over others. And another thing is collaboration. That is to maximize your branding potential and exposures by using other brands or other partners' help. And another thing is um, When you do the collaboration, you will not only stay with your client pool, with your partners, you'll be able to share your clients, and you help them to reach out to different pools. At the same time, you will have the access of their clients pool. So collaboration is a very good strategy to go when you are ready. And of course, you'll have your value proposition. You'll have to always think about what you have promised to your clients, and try to be as customer centric as possible. Especially post pandemic, people are more sophisticated about their choice and um, their purchases. So what you have to do is to keep customer in mind, and remember, customers are constantly evolving, so you have to keep your eyes on them, instead of just decide where your customers are and then keep doing what the brand thinks that's good. You'll have to look at your clients, look at your customers, and then do what's right for them. That's one quote that I really like, because when we do branding, we focus on our customers a lot. Like I said, we want to make sure we are customer centric. We have our customers in mind, but a lot of time we actually have to have our employees in mind, because what Professor Aker once said is, powerful brands are built from the inside out. To create a strong brand in the marketplace, employees and partners need to know the brand vision and care about its realization. So that's what I meant about you'll need to keep your employees and partners in mind, because they'll have to align with you, align with your vision as well. So how do you do your branding inside out, especially when you are going to a new market and your current employees or partners might not be aware or might not be familiar with the market, so they can't get the sense, or they can't, it doesn't click with them. Um, so localizing a brand image, it requires you to do first, you need to do observation. So utilize the online access. Everything is online now. So you can go to your target market to see what other media talk about the market, or you can go to your competitors. They might already have their social medias up. So when you go to forums or their social media, you will be able to see comments and talk about their brands, about their products, or even about the service. So you'll have the idea of what this new market will be like. And I found it super helpful to differentiate between markets to market, because when you see the online comments, it's actually the first hand data, and that would help your employees to understand what they are talking about as well. Because clients, even if you are a to be business, clients are humans. So yeah, so knowing this human sense is quite important to know the culture. And of course, it's something that a lot of branding people would miss out. That's you will have to go back and work with your products. By that, I mean, when you go into a new market, you want to first you want to redesign your product for sure, because once what's worked in one market doesn't mean that it can be acceptable in another market, and it goes to so details into how you deliver your product as well. So when the branding people or the marketing people go to the market, they will have the feedback from your clients or from the audience, and that's when you can come back to the product design to see what might be missed and what might be changed. And of course, sometimes it's hard because a lot of people will have their, if you have this physical products, product design are your how people identify your brand. But what I mean here is that, for example, in the US where you are from, um, this subscription might you might be familiar with subscription. However, in Asia, a lot of markets might not be familiar with subscription, and they will not accept this kind of concept if they haven't buy in your product completely. So if you want to go to Asian markets, then what you might do is you will have to redesign your product, maybe have like a one-off purchase for your product first, and then when you build up this trust, and you will be able to go back to your subscription model. And of course, when you want your clients to know you, you need this three words or three adjectives. And same to your employees. Business know they will need to have this slogan for clients or for users to remember their brand. But remember, your employees can first be your users, then your employees. So, or the other way around. So, to make your employees know what your brands are about, and how to easily remember the core proposition of your brand is very important. You can even test it on your employees before go to market. So find a slogan that's easy to remember, easy to grasp is very important. And when we go to the market, what not to when you do the targeting? Let's try to avoid some branding position myths that we often see from startups or to be business trying to go to see. One is that my target audience is everyone. So a lot of businesses think they have this great ideas, and it fits it all, and all the people can use their product. Of course, I believe that's true, but if you want to do your branding, it's just impossible for you to communicate with everyone at once. For example, if you go say you won't say the same thing to your grandma as your 3-year-old. At least you won't communicate with them with using the same words, or the same way to compose your information, or the same amount of information. So that's what I mean of you need to find your first batch of the audience, and from there you'll define the persona, and decide where do you want to go, which channel would you use, and what kind of tone and manner that you want to use for your brand. For example, if I want to go to teenagers in the States, then I would definitely have to have this TikTok channel. Or if I want to go to 25 to 34 years old female in Asia, then I definitely want to do a fan page on Facebook, and maybe a live stream on Facebook as well. So that's basically, you'll have to find a clear idea of persona before you go into a market and choose a way that you want to communicate. And second tip is you will need to define the image, because people often forget that they see the data of their audience and they forgot to translate the data into image. And by that, you'll need to have a clear idea of well, I often tell my clients what they have to do is they define a persona and try to fit it into one of their friends. And once you can do that, it would be very easy for them to imagine how they want to communicate with them and what words or how what kind of information the friends they have would be interested in. And that would be a first step for a lot of entrepreneurs to start to think about who exactly is your target audience, and how would they want to convey their ideas. And especially, like I said, on this slide, you want to stand out. So you don't want to um, try to vaguely convey your ideas. You want to be precise for sure. Well, there's a saying that the winner takes it all. We definitely don't believe that. Um, a lot of entrepreneurs, they know their markets are everywhere. They of course have optimism of their brands. That's why they have this confidence to bring the brand to international market. But there's no way that you can approach the markets at the same time. For example, in even in the States, when you have different states, you don't you don't communicate with people in New York with in the same way as when you talk to people in California. So what they care about, what they like, and what they imagine themselves are totally different. So that's why you'll need to, with the limited time and limited materials and assets, you'll need to choose your primary market. And with that, you'll be able to succeed in one market first and use it as a foundation to reach out to other markets. And that's the same to Asia if you're planning to come to Asia. Although each market are so different, but in Asia as a region, the information are actually flowing around. So if you are sound in one market, there's no way that another market would not know about you. And what's best is that because people in Asia, it's in the emerging market in general. So people in Asia are very proactive. Once they notice your brand, they might reach out to you proactively and then offer some of the resources they might have or the connection they have already established and try to partner up with you. And that would save a lot of effort for you to go into one brand new market. And so we come to the last part of our presentation, which I would say it's very important. It might be the most important because like I said earlier, a lot of entrepreneurs know how to sustain their brand with their financial statement and with their cash flow, but they might miss out. Um, there's a vital part of how do you build the public relations, and how do you face a crisis when it hits. One thing about public relations is that you can't see it with your eyes. It has to be something happen in order for you to realize it exists. For example, if you when you have this huge campaign and then you want people to know about you, of course you can go to social media, but a lot of time you'll have to come back to your own media. When we say a media, that's media report or media coverage or interviews of your brand, and that would help you to do branding. So remember when we said about what's the difference between the marketing and branding? Branding is when people will come to you and tell you, ask you, you have this great service, you have this great product. Can I buy it from you? Or I will need your assistance. I will need your help with this and that. When you do marketing, which is on social media, you keep telling people that you are good, you have this great image, so people might be resonate themselves with you, but you don't have this third party to have to talk about you, or to even talk good things about you, and that's when you need public relations. But I would like to bring up PR crisis, because that's when a lot of my clients would have this feeling of the importance of PR relation, public relations. So how do you prepare crisis when crisis hits? Is it possible to prepare for a PR crisis? I would say, if a crisis hits, what you need to do first is that, well, of course, in advance, you need to plan out what you want to do, or what's your plan if a crisis hits, because crisis hits is like a snap of your fingers, so you won't have the time to react if you don't prepare yourself for it. And so here are I want to share with you some three steps that you want to take when a crisis hits, and you can rehearse it by yourself, or you can develop a strategy based on these three steps. First of all, you want to go online. You want to see what's your digital assets, and b, what's your online presence at the moment when the crisis hit. It doesn't matter how people talk about you before, or how you are lovable among your clients before the crisis. What you need to do when a crisis hit is that you need to see what are they talking about, and what they care about the crisis online, because that's where people can spread the ideas of what they hate about you, or what they misunderstood about you. Sometimes it's a misunderstanding, but they don't know. So make sure you go online platforms and monitor everything about your brand, and what they talk back about you. And with that, you'll be able to sort of position yourself in the right way, and decide what's your attitude to reply, and how do you position your brand in this crisis. It might be severe that you really need to do some actions to protect the brand, or to protect people from dropping your brand. But sometimes it might take some actions just to explain yourself thoroughly and honestly. So when you decide where do you want to position yourself in this crisis, you'll be able to reply. So speed is everything in this era. In this internet era, everything happens so fast, so rapidly, you don't want to wait. But be sure you reply in timely manner. And by that, I mean, when a crisis happens, of course, you need to slow down and try to understand what's going on in online sphere, or even offline sphere, and then decide what you want to do next, how you position your tone and manner in the crisis to reply to the audience, or to the media. Sometimes when it's very critical, media journalists will come to you directly, and I would highly recommend you to reply to all those questions and all those requests, because that's the way, or like I said, that's a third party that can speak for you. So never drop this opportunity. And if you have to, you can this is when you need some professional to come on board to help you to reply to media, to make sure you don't make any more mistakes. And for these three steps that I mentioned above, my best advice will be rehearse for make sure that you are prepared for the crisis, to know your audience. Of course, that's very important, but at the same time, to know your brand. A lot of people would miss that, to only look at what the audience might want to hear when the crisis hit, but that's a big mistake. You also need to know where your brand stands as well, and how to overcome this crisis as a brand instead of as yourself. And yeah, so when there is a crisis, how would you want to do? First of all, of course, you will definitely want to stay calm. And like I said, think about the three steps that I mentioned earlier. And there are some keynotes I would like to bring up, just to make sure you don't step out wrongly, and you don't make things worse. So first of all, again, in the internet sphere, nothing is secret. So every trace you left, or every hint that you have left with your brand, or even for your founders, um, it won't go away. So don't try to cover it up. Try to be honest, and try to answer the questions as much as possible. But well, one thing we need to know is that netizens are not our enemy. They are our friends. So when they have this criticism, or they sometimes they talk trash about your brand, don't be so mad about them at first. Try to explain, try to reason with them, and tell them who you really are, and try to be authentic as possible, because they might not mean ill. And if you can make them trust you, and then these netizens can speak up for you when you have a real crisis coming up. And another thing is, don't cribble, like never cribble. I can understand when you build a brand, it is hard, and you put a lot of effort in your brand. The brand is like your baby, and it's not just about branding. It's about finance. It's about how you establish it from the scratch. So it's reasonable that you want to protect your brand, and you will be like defensive, but make sure that you don't defend the brand like you defend yourself. um this is what we call you need to have your PR talk. You will want to be um of course, when a crisis happens, your brand is the one to be blamed on online. But you can be reasonable, and then you can try to explain yourself, and then reply to the questions they have, and don't uh, try to avoid their questions, basically. And but when you defend yourself, try to choose your words right, because they don't want to hear you saying, well, we didn't do this and that. They want to hear why you do it, and why they see it this way now. So try not to defend yourself. It just raise the hatred and negative discussions online. So never do that. And be frank. Just don't try to cover up and be as try to be as direct as possible to your clients or with the criticism. Of course, it's what we call you need to plan what you want to say, because modify the words or modify the truth sometimes are important. It doesn't mean that you'll need to lie, but you just to make sure you answer all the questions with the right words. You can translate it into what they want to hear. And it it of course depends on whether or not you know your audience thoroughly, and whether or not you have built this basic trust with your audience, so that they will be able to defend you for you. You won't be able to defend yourself in a crisis, but they might be able to defend for you. So that's something you want to do. And one thing I would like to point out is that a lot of people that would talk trash about you online, they might not be your audience, and they might not even be your users. So when when you try to sort of counter these negative comments, what you need to do is actually talking to your right users and talking to your clients who have trusted you and who have interacted with you, because those are the people that will be your potential clients, or that you want to build a long-term relationship. So when you react to the crisis, remember your audience are not everyone, are not those who see themselves as an enemy to you. Your audience are those who you really care about. So be frank with them. And you don't want to lie to your relatives, you don't want to lie with your friends anyways, so why would you lie to your clients? And this I want to emphasize about Dr. Aker said about inside out. So you want to make sure everyone in your team is on the same page, so they know what to say and they know what not to say as well. And be sure they know you have this one point of contact instead of everyone can speak on behalf of the company. That's a huge risk for you. And to appoint one person to be the speak speak person is that the good thing about that is that you will, because during the crisis there are a lot of things happening at the same time, so you want to make sure all the information are channeled to the right group of people. And once they come to conclusion and they know how to respond to the questions or to the criticism, you will be able to know who you can appoint to, and who this person will have the full knowledge of what to say and what not to say. And that's very, very important when everything is a mess. You will need to build this kind of team to help you to get through this um, safely. And if you are to see a business, make sure all your the customer front employees are on the same page as well. So once the speak person says something or decide to do something to react in some way, make sure these customer front employees are aligned with all those actions and know how to communicate with to see clients. Because yeah, it just makes sure that everything is aligned. And then when clients wherever they get this reaction, they have this constancy of what they can get. But that's the that's the $1 million question. Can we avoid a crisis? If we can avoid it, then we might not be able to. We might not need to plan all those or risk our brand in any way. But can we plan it? Can we avoid it? Well, the long answer short is no, you can't, because there are so many things happening at the same time. You don't know what's gonna go wrong. Especially, there are so many elements, so many people in your business, and there are so many stakeholders in your business as well. But what we can do is that there are certainly some things that we can do before things happen, and to avoid crisis. So how do we keep the crisis away? Can we prevent it? I am speaking in on behalf of Asia market in general. So the number one rule is respect. Be respectful to your clients and know their culture, and to start with. Cultural appropriation is always the key for when you go to a market that you are not familiar with, or that's quite different than the culture that you are familiar with in your own market or in your motherland. So when you go into a new market, make sure you know, for example, like what's your religions, what's their politics, what's okay to be humorous and what's not okay, what's not considered as humor. um the, yeah, it's just very important when you do your social media content, when you do your press release or your launch, or even going back to our previous slides, or even to design your product. Because sometimes a product might work in one market, but because of religion reason, it doesn't work in another. So you don't want to offend your market or offend your audience when you first step in the market. And another thing is be mindful of criticism. Because like I said, in a new market, sometimes it's hard to know what might trigger the crisis, and what might trigger what's not acceptable in the market, or among the audience. So we want to make sure we monitor the online talkabouts. We want to make sure we are aware of what these market are talking about our brand and our product. And if there is a massive mistake of your product, or a massive you'll have to call back your products. You want to make sure you can detect it um, in the very beginning, instead of when it's gone wild. Then it will be really hard to it would be really hard to deal with it. And yeah, but we have talked about a lot about how you want to react to crisis proactively. But can we downplay it? Is it an option when a crisis happen? I would say yes and no, because it really depends on where your position is in the crisis. For example, a good example of downplay it is Coca-Cola. In European Football Championship this year, we all know Ronaldo did a one simple action of removing the Coca-Cola bottle, which is the key sponsor of the game, to a side. And then he said in his mother tongue, he said aqua, which means water. It indicates that he actually promotes water over Coca-Cola, and that caused a lot lost in their stock price. What Coca-Cola did was quite clever because they simply replied to journalists' requests on this specific incident. They said, well, they actually promote healthy drinks to everyone, and they promote like healthy idea. So I think this is really smart because as a big brand like Coca-Cola, and your counterpart is this big superstar, you don't want to upset Ronaldo's fans, and you don't want to say anything wrong that might steal the limelight away from the game, which that well, you have give a lot of money to sponsor the game. So I think what they did was very good, and it's the right strategy to respond to the crisis. But not everyone can do that, especially when you are not a big brand like Coca-Cola. You might want to think about your strategy and response to the crisis or to the incident with with a clear brand image, just to reinforce what you stand, or like how you want to stand your position and what you stand for. So um so going to a new market isn't easy, and we as a consultancy, we have to do a lot of research. We have to talk to a lot of partners in order to know a certain sector in a market as well, to make sure we do things right. So we have this, if you speak Mandarin, we have this podcast called Play with BuonX, and we would like to. What we do here is that in Asia market, we have a lot of SMEs, so we try to help them to get into the idea of what is branding and how they can do it in different stages. And we all know, branding involves like marketing, PR, word of mouth, and advertising, everything that you can think of, that you can see of a brand. So it can be overwhelming. We try to break it down into smaller concepts in different episodes, and in different episodes we have three highlights or three steps that we collect, or we sort out for SMEs, for entrepreneurs, to know the idea a little bit more and to actually execute it within their own power. So if you speak Mandarin, you're welcome to jump in our podcast, and we'll love to invite you to speak on our podcast as well. And you can join our Facebook fan page. But if you don't speak the language, don't worry, because we have every social media available. You can reach out to us via Facebook, via Instagram, or our LinkedIn. I also have my personal LinkedIn in this QR code that you can see. So yeah, so that's all I would like to share today.